Welcome to SandlerCon Software's Lockbox Processing demo video. Lockbox Processing is one of the 4 modules of the eBanking suite for Solomon. The other 3 modules are AP and AR, Electronic Funds Transfer, and Positive Pay. SandlerCon Software has been building add-on products for Microsoft Solomon since 1996. Solomon's Payroll Direct Deposit and Work Order modules were created by SandlerCon and sold to Solomon. In addition, SandlerCon has additional products for the Project Series and the Manufacturing Series. Let's take a look at an overview of Lockbox Processing. What is Lockbox Processing? It involves having your bank send a file that includes a record of those checks that have been deposited in a mail lockbox. This file needs to be communicated from the bank to your company. It involves communications. When the file arrives, that file needs to be imported into an application, and the checks are recorded and then applied appropriately to invoices within Solomon. As the file is being imported, the records have to be mapped to Solomon fields. So that's another critical part of Lockbox Processing. When the records are imported into the application, then there needs to be some method, a workbench, to finalize the entries in case the information is not complete or a change needs to be made to the information that has been imported. This Lockbox Processing then will end up automating data entry. Instead of taking a facsimile of the checks that were provided by the bank and keying it into payment application, Lockbox Processing does this automatically. And finally, a Lockbox Processing application needs to be tightly integrated with the accounting system it's running against. In this case, it's Solomon AR. Now let's take a look at some of the features specific to SandlerCon's Lockbox Processing. The product includes a custom mapping interface that allows any bank's format, lockbox file format, to be easily and effortlessly mapped to the Solomon fields which the file will be imported against. Our product includes built-in communication software if that's the best way to communicate with your bank. Also, it supports web interface to download a file via web interface. There are many other options available as well to accommodate any kind of communications that your bank may require. As the file is being imported from the Lockbox file, the application does an auto application process against existing Solomon invoices, and this will facilitate the speed and rapidity which the records get imported into Solomon. Inside the payment application workbench, there's an opportunity then to research incomplete items. We'll show that in the demo portion as it comes up in just a few minutes. To help accomplish this, the product includes a very powerful graphical customer document lookup, which allows you to filter and inquiry into all of your AR and customer information in Solomon to locate invoices or memos that this payment needs to be applied against. Again, in the demonstration we'll take a look at that. And finally, Lockbox Processing includes an archiving feature that allows you to maintain a history of all the Lockbox's files that have been imported. They get moved to an archive folder if that's how you want to manage your system. We're going to go into a demo of Lockbox Processing, and in doing that, we're going to go through the following steps. First, we're going to take a look at how custom file formats are created. We'll take a look at that part of the application. The next step is we need to retrieve a Lockbox file from our bank. We'll look at the opportunities there, the functionality in the product. Once the file has been brought to our system, then we need to import it into the workbench. And during that import process, any auto application or customer identification is done. Once it's in the workbench, then we need to review those entries, see which ones were brought in and put into a good payment situation, or those that are considered errors and need to be worked on. We'll also look at the customer and document lookup application that helps facilitate that workbench review. And finally, the last step is where we will create an AR payment application batch to take those entries in the workbench and automate the data entry and payment application. Now let's take a look at an actual demo of the software. Lockbox Processing is part of the eBanking suite for Solomon, which you access through the module menu on Solomon, and then go to the eBanking suite for Solomon. These are all the applications that are part of the eBanking suite. First, we're going to take a look at the file formats. This is where you will define the Lockbox file formats from your banks and how they map to the Solomon fields. So in opening that application, we go to the Lockbox Processing tab. The product supports an unlimited number of formats. In these, you would identify with your different bank accounts. You may just have one if you're working with one bank, or if you have multiple banks, you certainly can set up as many as you need there. Here we have 3 formats set up, and they happen to be designated by the type of the layout of the file, and these can vary, of course, bank to bank. We support comma delimited files, fixed field formats, and tab delimited. I'm going to take a look at the tab delimited one this morning. In tab delimited files, there are a number of options. If there are header or trailer records in the file, they can be removed. Also, the product provides a way to point to a sample file. So as you're developing the format, the sample file can be visible down here at the bottom of the screen. You can see we're looking at a header record because we're looking at this sample tab delimited file. In addition, as we develop the field layouts, we can see data from that sample file in the field layout grid. So let's take a look at how that works. So I'm here on the tab delimited format, and down below is where we've defined the different fields in the file, the first, second, third, etc., and how they map to the various Solomon fields. This third field is mapping to the invoice number in Solomon. There are a number of fields that we can map to, as you can see from this combo box. So once we've done the mapping and we've pointed to a sample file, we can navigate through that file with these next and previous buttons. If I go next, you'll see now we're at the header 2 record, header 3, and now here's the actual data from the lockbox. Again, this is tab delimited, and what we have, it presents in the mappings for that record that we're on, the record 3 of 11. You can see that now that's showing the check number and then the check amount. In addition, it's looking up various information in Solomon and give us some warnings or OKs whether it's found data that corresponds. So with this screen, we can set up a flexible number of formats. We can identify them and troubleshoot and determine if we've got the mapping exactly correct. Once we've done this, generally we won't have to use this screen again unless the bank changes their format, sends us a different type of file, or we may need to add a new bank to our processing. So this is the first step in Lockbox Processing. The next main